every time there's a big event, a big tragedy, terrorist attack, mass murder, there are conspiracy theories that follow. And Boston, of course, is no exception. So I want to take some time, go over some basic conspiracy theories that are out there and refute them all. They're all pretty silly this time around. And weird. This is a weird one because Boston, there's a lot of footage, there was a lot of witnesses, there's a lot of texts, and then it's like, pressure cookers. So it's pretty lo-fi, like it's a pretty simple terrorist attack. The weird thing, I think, right off the bat, that there are conspiracy theories, just because there really hasn't been an official story yet. Usually I feel like conspiracy theories like, oh, well, the story goes that, these terrorists hate us and that's why they did this, but that we haven't even got there yet. We don't even know who did this or why, or what organization. So I think maybe the conspiracy theories will get better when that happens, because right now they're just not very good. We'll start with my favorite one. It's got nothing to it. It's just a creepy image, really. It's the man on the roof photo. This has been around all over. And I can't refute this. There's nothing to refute. It's just a guy who was on the roof, when the explosion happened. It's not against the rules to be on roofs. It's not illegal to be on a roof. He was a guy on a roof, I guess he hasn't come out and said, like, oh, I was a guy on the roof. I wouldn't. I think the reason this photo does creep people out is because he's all black. I don't mean racially black. In the photograph, he's all black. That's creepy to people. But there's just nothing to it. It's not usable evidence. It's a guy who was there. He was just there, really. Just as much as anyone else at the marathon was also there and could have set off the bomb. So it is interesting, though. It got passed around a lot. So that's one conspiracy theory. Here's the next one. We'll go with the mysterious Facebook page. This is a lot of fun. So basically, there's a video that surfaced, and I've seen a couple images. I saw an image on Twitter of a mobile picture of this Facebook page, and it's a page called "Thoughts Go Out to All Involved in the Boston Explosions." And you're like, oh, that's nice. But here's the thing. It was made on Saturday. According to the Facebook timestamp at the bottom, it says, join Saturday. So that's weird because the Boston Marathon was after Saturday. So it was like it was made before the Boston Marathon. This one's pretty easy to knock down. I mean, for one, it's easy to fake that. You can easily fake a web page. The fact that it's a video of a web page is also fakeable. If it's an image of a web page, you can fake that with Photoshop. You could also go in and manually edit the HTML and get it to say what you want and render it in your browser. Really, the reason it's probably not real is because you never got a link to it. If you got a link to the web page, then you saw it and you loaded it off Facebook server, then you'd have something. So that one's pretty easy to deal with as well. Here's another one. Oh, actually, let me go back to that Facebook one before we quit on that. That's a weird one too, because what would the motivation be behind that? It seems a lot more likely to be a hoax. If you go and say oh, the CIA committed the bombing, you think part of the CIA's plan would be to make Facebook pages that are sympathetic to the victims? That would be so odd. That's not really making any sense. Or terrorists. Why would they make a Facebook page that says sorry to the victim? What? It's a weird theory. It's fake. It's a hoax. That makes way more sense. Okay, so here's another thing that happened. Well, nothing happened. This is just the false flag angle, which I just alluded to. This is just the notion that the CIA, the government would make this happen so that the government could seize more control. And this actually, at one of the press conferences, this guy, Redondi, I think his name is. I'll put his name in the description, but he, at the press conference, was basically asked, is this an attack? Was this attack done to take more of our freedoms and liberties? And it went super violent. Bedondi, that's his name. Dan Bedondi asked that to Governor Deval Patrick. And it's a question. It's always a question. The government can be manipulative in other countries. That's for sure. You know, but there's just not a lot of really weight behind that. You can always throw that accusation at anything. But again, like I said, I would expect those sort of false flag stuff to come up if there's an official story that's presented and like, oh, well, this guy committed this crime. And then they're like, well, we don't think that guy committed this crime. We think it's a false flag attack. That makes more sense than just being like, oh, it's a false flag attack. Well, you know, everything's a false flag attack if you want it to be. You know, just take any event. It's a false flag attack all of a sudden. Walmart's closed. False flag attack. Government's closing Walmart. Freaks us all out. All right, here's the other sort of conspiracy theory on this is that it was Patriots Day and tax day. So this is like essentially someone who might hate tax a lot, so like a really right-wing libertarian, basically take the Tea Party and go way, way, way right of that, would commit this. But it was also Patriots Day, so I feel like that kind of counters that. Like, who knows why exactly they went for that. And this one is probably the weirdest one I'll give. This intrigued me the most. I don't think there's much to it, but there was a lot of like bombing drills being announced before this was happening. This is a quote from Ali Stevenson, who was at the finish line. He said, quote, "They kept making announcements to the participants, do not worry, it's just a training exercise. Evidently, I don't believe they were just having a training exercise. I think they must have had some sort of threat or suspicion called in." You know, I don't think so. Any big event like this, though, might get a threat. Schools get threats. It's tough. It's a tough situation. That's probably the most valid accusation you could make, is that they might have ignored a threat. I don't think there's any evidence that suggests that. At some point, though, you have to ignore threats. I mean, you know, if I'm gonna kill you right now, you know, you gotta ignore that. I'm not gonna kill you. That's crazy. I don't know if that's a good example, but you get what I'm saying, right? If right now I say I'm gonna break into your refrigerator after this video finishes and steal all your food, you're not gonna run and lock up your refrigerator. That's insane. So, long story short, or kind of long, not a lot of good theories out there this time, if you ask me. I get into all that stuff. I love reading about conspiracy theories, but there's really just not a lot of weight behind these. They're just kind of shallow, sort of, they're shadows of former conspiracy theories. There's just nothing good. We'll see. We'll see if the conspiracy theorists bust out some stuff, but, you know, you got Alex Jones being like, oh, well, my heart goes out to all the victims, but this just reeks of false flag attack. And it's like, what? On what basis? How did you get to that? It's just like, that's just your mindset, because there's no evidence that suggests that at all. And he just threw that out there. So anyway, please leave whatever in the comments. I will read all the comments. I will respond to your comments. I will look at any literature you send my way. So get in a conversation with me about this if you feel passionately about the man on the roof or whatever. I want to hear your thoughts. But in the meantime, I will put my foot down and say I don't believe the conspiracy theories here are even really worth refuting. They're just not very good. I'm Danny Vega. I'll put some links if you want to see some more information about this in the description.